Hello everyone, this is Reverend Dr. Roger Paul, and this is the 5th Epical Revelation Fellowship. What day it is today?
Today's Wednesday, January 21st, 2015.
Today is Wednesday, January 21st, 2015. And tonight we're going to actually study Paper 33, Administration of the Local Universe. Last year we started out with that and I was on the wrong paper. So this is really the video for Paper 33. So let's say a little prayer and we're getting started. Sweetie, would you like to pray for us?
Thank you so much for this day, Father, Mother God. We are so grateful for your presence in our lives and giving us an opportunity to live and experience life and to grow. And we thank you so much for this revelation that we're about to study, and may it bless our lives as well as others with the knowledge that we may pass on to others. Thank you for this incredible weather we've been having, and thank you for blessing us and our loved ones and friends and keeping everyone on track in their lives. And thank you for being with all of us, and please help us to keep our minds and our hearts open to the information tonight that we'll read. And we are very grateful to be studying about our local universe and our creators. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, Michael, we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. Let's get started here. Administration of the Local Universe. Okay, I think I'll start reading tonight. Administration of the Local Universe. While the Universal Father almost certainly rules over his vast creation, he functions in the local universe administration through the person of the Creator Son. The Father does not otherwise personally function in the administrative affairs of the local universe. These matters are entrusted to the Creator Son and to the local universe Mother Spirit, and to their manifold children. The plans, policies, and administrative acts of the local universe are formed and executed by his Son, who in conjunction with his spirit associate delegates executive power to Gabriel and jurisdictional authority over to the constellation fathers, the system sovereigns, and the planetary princes. So the Universal Father personally does not act in the local universe outside the divinity circuit of the Creator Son and the local universe Mother Spirit, right? And their many associates. Okay. Now, that does not mean that the Universal Father does not know what's going on in this local universe, because why? Because of the thought adjusters, the mystery monitors within us. So he's always personally present. So any act he wants to have happen is done through the Creator Son, though, right? So for all intents and purposes, the Creator Son Michael, or Jesus of Nazareth, is our God, in essence, right? Our concept of God. Okay, this is a slide of the breakdown of the local universe government. Okay, and you can see at the very top is the Paradise Creator Son, and along right beside him is the local universe Mother Spirit, right? And all creation and sustenance and ministry is maintained through them. The next person down is the bright and morning star, which would be Gabriel, right? And then right underneath him is Father Melchizedek, and he covers all practical procedures, okay? And then in the next step down is the Supreme Council, 3 representatives from system and 7 representatives from the constellation. There's also 100 councils of supreme sanction, Gabriel's cabinet. Okay. Now keep in mind there are many, many beings associated with this that are not revealed to us in the papers. So you can't get the idea that this is the only beings out there, but these are the ones relating to us. Okay, and then underneath that is the Most High Constellation Fathers, with a tribunal of Verondadek sons and an advisory board of 7 judges, all of whom are ascendant mortals. Okay, so we actually get jobs as we go up through the universe, right? There's also a Melchizedek Council, 12 Melchizedeks, who review evidence, digest pleas, and formulate provisional verdicts which are passed on to the Most Highs, similar to a grand jury. And I'm not going to go on the constellation. We'll cover this a little later. Okay. First section. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
All right, Roger. I've got a couple of questions.
Sure, go right ahead, Rodney.
I'm just curious. The Mother Spirit, does she have a name?
The Universe Mother Spirit? She probably does, but they do not reveal that to us, Rodney.
Does she have a what?
A name.
A personal name.
Personal name. Like Michael is Michael of Nebanon. I don't remember ever reading a specific name for the local universe Mother Spirit other than the local universe Mother Spirit.
Yeah,
So,
I don't remember reading a name either.
yeah.
But maybe I has to.
But I'm sure she has an individual name, just like all beings. For some reason, they feel that's not necessary to reveal that to us.
Maybe they're afraid we would worship her because they
Maybe
do this
so.
with Virgin
Well,
Mary, supposedly.
Yeah, exactly.
she's,
Look how
venerated.
Mary is. You know, she's put up there almost equal with Christ in some churches.
Right, she is.
So
Mhm.
maybe that's why they do not do that. Give her by name. And it's interesting that they do Gabriel, but they don't her, isn't it?
I know. Really.
Isn't that strange?
It's very male oriented.
Yeah.
Well, it could be because her name is Mary. And they didn't want her to get confused.
That's a possibility.
Anything's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
All right, Rodney, would you take that next? The first
Well,
paragraph?
then I have a second question.
Oh, go right ahead.
And just like the Michael sons, they're Michaels.
Right.
In other universes, is the first created being always called Gabriel? Or is
That-
it just her?
We could have probably assumed that, but it may be a wrong assumption. They do not really tell us. They do tell us that the first son is the bright and morning star. But
Exactly.
they may not all be named Gabriel, the bright and morning star. So we know that they're all, their titles is bright and morning star, but Gabriel is his personal name for our universe. And it may be the same throughout the universes, like the Father Melchizedeks are all Father Melchizedek, So, it's possible all of them are named Gabriel for lack of confusion. Because look at all the Michaels. The Michael sons actually have, which is really interesting, each one of them has an individual name that is different than Michael. They mention that in the book. But they do not give us those names. Only the Father knows all the names of all the Michaels and the Son. Right? So they're considered the order of Michael because Michael was the very first creator son ever created. So they're the order of Michael, and it's like a title, Michael, son, of Michael of Nebanon, But to the Father and the Eternal Son, each one of them has a different designation, which is a name that's different that we don't know about.
I'm sure that's true with the creative Mother Spirit.
Probably
too.
the same way with the creative Mother Spirits, I would think, anyway. But that is interesting, isn't it?
And then that brings another question to mind here. I know in the Bible it states, and I can't remember if it states it in the Urantia book, but when the angel appeared to Mary, she said, "You will call this your son Jesus."
Right. They will. Which Jesus was Joshua, right?
Or Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua. His name was Joshua ben Joseph, So he was named after his father. His father's name was Joseph, right? So Joshua is also another name for Joseph too. So probably Jesus was the son of Joshua, right? But his name was Joshua ben Joseph. Ben is son of what? Son of Joseph, right? So that's why he was called Joshua ben Joseph. They didn't really have last names. They were son of somebody, So if you
wonder where the name Jesus came from.
Well, it's a Englishized version of Joshua. Is what it
Gotcha.
is. Okay.
All right, I'm ready to read.
Okay. Well, if you think of it in Spanish, I think it's Jesus, right, instead of Jesus. So really depends on who pronounces it. Oh, and one other interesting thing too is they do mention in the book that Michael is also referred to as Christ Michael because they considered him the essence of Christ on earth. So his Christ Michael, and it says in this next paragraph, is because of his bestowal on earth. So let's go on and read it, Rodney.
All right, number 1, Michael of Nebadon. Our Creator's Son is the personification of the 611,121st original concept of infinite identity of simultaneous origin in the Universal Father and the Eternal Son. The Michael of Nebadon is the only begotten Son, personalizing this 611,121st universal concept of divinity and infinity. His headquarters is in the Threefold Mansion of Light on Salvington. And this dwelling is so ordered because Michael has experienced the living of all three phases of intelligent creature existence: spiritual, neurological, and material. Because of the name associated with this seventh and final bestowal on Urantia, he is sometimes spoken of as Christ Michael.
Christ Michael, right. Okay, so he is the 611,121st original concept. Okay, so he is the only begotten Son of God in this universe of Nebadon. That's this personification. Okay, there are many other sons of God which we're going to talk about tonight, like the magisterial sons and the Trinity teacher sons. Right? These are sons of God, but they are not the only begotten Son, which is this concept of the Universal Father and the Eternal Son, right? Materialization of that. And this 611,121st is because all beings associated with Nebadon that are paradise, can't come from paradise, are given the same number, right? The creative mother spirit is 611,121st. The union of days, Emmanuel, is 611,121st, right? They're all from this original concept coming from the Universal Father and the Eternal Son. All right, and another interesting thing about this paragraph is Michael is so ordered. Okay, it talks about the mansions of light on Salvington, right? And it talks about the threefold mansions of life. What do you think that is? That's the spiritual, moral, and material. Is the three things on the threefold mansions of life. And he is supposed to live there and dwell that because he has fulfilled all three of these existences. Okay? Every type of creature that he has created. Does that make sense? And it goes on to say he's sometimes spoken as Christ Michael because of his final bestowal here, that he was the incarnation of the Christ, okay? What we consider as the Christ. Okay. This is the...
What is the definition of begotten?
Begotten Son. It's the only Son that was, you could say, created or materialized or whatever you want to say from the Universal Father and Eternal Son in this format, in this form. So there won't be another Christ Michael ever created for this local universe, ever.
No, I always thought that the only begotten Son meant he was the only spiritual being that ever was incarnated into flesh. or born
No.
flesh.
No, that's not true, Rodney, because many other incarnations happen on this planet of magisterial sons and Trinity teacher sons. But also Melchizedek sons, which are a lower order of sonship. This is local universe sons. Sometimes materialize in the flesh on the planet, just like.
Materialized, but never born.
Pardon me?
They materialize, but they're not
They
born.
materialize. They are never born. The only one that is ever born on this planet is the Michael sons, and all of them go through this experience. They are born and they die, because those are two things about living as a human being that makes us unique as humans. Okay? The experience of being born and the experience of dying. Okay, it's interesting. Let me bring up another point here. Even if you fuse with your adjuster on this planet, right? You don't go through the physical experience of death like everyone else does, but you do go through the physical experience of death through fusion. Okay? So you still experience death, it's just not the same. Okay? So because your body still dies, it's gone. Does that make sense? It's a different dematerialization of the body, basically. You know, the reason we die is because we have to go back to dust. Our bodies have to dematerialize and cease to exist in order for us to be transported to the mansion worlds and have a Morancha form. We can't have this physical living creature around anymore. You know, you can't be two places at once. Just like the Michael cannot be in two places at once. Okay? He can only physically be at one place at a time because he's a spiritual being. He is not like the creative Mother Spirit who projects herself into all existence of her location. Michael does that through what? The Spirit of Truth. And even that is controlled by the creative Mother Spirit. Okay? It's a difference. But his personality is in one place. Okay? This is a picture, illustration of Salvington and and the different worlds that surround Salvington. I'm not going to go into great detail on this, but keep in mind these worlds are not perfectly surrounding this just like this looks. They're all over the place, all around it, right? But there's, it shows I think it's 10 divisions of the different types of worlds that surround Salvington. This is the dwelling place of Jesus and the creative Mother Spirit. Here's another illustration. I'm not going to belay these slides at great length, but they're very interesting to study and look at on your own. I encourage you to do that in the slides. This is Melchizedek worlds in Salvington. This is the worlds of the Verondadeks that surround Salvington. This is the third group of the circuit, 70 serves, 22 satellites. I'll let you this, and it shows U minor the third, which is our I'm losing my mind tonight.
Been a busy day.
Yeah.
Very busy day.
This is the Melchizedeks had general oversight of the fourth group of the 7 spheres in the Salvington circle. Melchizedek's, the world of the Finalators. There's a whole group of worlds for Finalators, who we will be when we get to paradise, right? The world of the brilliant evening stars. The brilliant evening stars are the next group of creation after what? The bright morning star, Gabriel. And this is part of Gabriel's progeny. Okay, and the world of the archangels. You know, this is always a mystery to me how the archangels always have separate things for everything. They're part of the super universe. Okay, and then we have the 7 worlds of the fused mortals. People who have fused and go on to Salvington. Okay, and let's keep going. The 9th group of the worlds, and that's it. Okay.
Roger?
Yeah.
I've got the U minor is the capital of INSA.
It is. That's our minor sector.
Yeah, minor sector.
Right. Yeah. That's what I couldn't bring to my forehead. It's been a long day for us. we got some good news, which I'm not going to go on online, but we did get good news today. So remind me after the meeting, I'll tell you all about it.
All right.
Okay, Millie, would you take the next paragraph? We're going really slow tonight. It's maybe a
Yes.
two-meeting paper.
Okay.
Our Creator Son is not the eternal Son, existential paradise associate of the Universal Father and the Infinite Spirit. Michael of Devedon is not a member of the Paradise Trinity. Nevertheless, our Master Son possesses in his realm all of the divine attributes and powers that the Eternal Son himself would manifest were he actually to be present on Salvington and functioning in Devedon. Michael possesses even additional power and authority, for he not only personifies the Eternal Son, but also fully represents and actually embodies the personality presence of the Universal Father to and in this local universe. He even represents the Father-Son. These relationships constitute a Creator-Son, the most powerful, versatile, and influential of all divine beings who are capable of direct administration of evolutionary universes and of personality contact with immature creature beings.
Okay, y'all, the first time I read this paragraph, I was living in Key West. I was 18, maybe 17. I just turned 18. And I read this paragraph, and I threw the book across the room. So I'd never pick it up again. Because I thought this was blasphemy. How dare them say that Jesus was not the second part of the Trinity, you know?
Right.
I mean, that just flew in the face of everything I'd ever been taught. You know, I was a good Southern Baptist. I always thought Jesus was the second person of the Trinity.
That's
But
what I
he's,
was taught.
yeah, I mean, you know,
Lord.
you thought this is blasphemy right off the top, you know. After a couple minutes, I went back up and picked it up and started reading again because it is interesting. So, we know,
That's what's taught in every pulpit, in every church in this country.
That's right, it is. Every pulpit in every church. And I was a good Southern Baptist preacher boy, you know, so I thought, how dare them attack Jesus in such a way? But it wasn't an attack at all. It's the enlightenment of our own selves, right? We have to deal with truth, and sometimes truth is hard to swallow. It really is. So we know now that the Creator Son, or Jesus or Michael, is not the eternal Son. He's a son of the Creator Son and the Father. Okay? He's the 611,121st Son of the Creator Son, or the infinite Son and the Father. Right? All right.
You know, Roger, I look at it this way. The modern day churches teach it, most of them teach the Trinity concept.
Right.
But to believe in the Trinity means that you believe that each one of those three are really one, but they're three, but they're equal, if you want to say in power.
Right.
They're equal.
Yeah.
Now, when you think about it, Jesus was always wanting to do the will of the Father.
Right.
He's subordinate. So it tells you right there, he's not equal in the Trinity.
No, he's not. And he never will be, right? Not like the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit. Not even close. But for all practical purposes, for our illustrations and the way we look at Michael, he possesses all the divine attributes and all the power of the eternal Son as if he were right here. But he does it in this local universe, right? When he leaves this local universe, he has the power just like all other Creator Sons, right? For their local universe, okay? And it also says here he not only personifies the eternal Son, but he also fully represents and actually embodies the personality presence of the universal Father. You know, it says many times, even in the Bible, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father. That's what this is talking about. It's the personality presence of the universal Father that comes through the creative Son. Right?
You know,
Okay.
the first time I read that many years ago, my first feeling was, after I got over being shocked about it and just sitting with it for several days actually, I realized the vastness of God. You know,
Yeah.
and I know not, it doesn't tell you here that there's 700,000 plus 300 in waiting that
Yeah.
are being prepared, but just the vastness of God, that God would have that many creator sons. So
Yeah.
I mean, it opened up a whole panorama of, you know, of,
Yeah, a whole new way to look at things, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it was a,
And it also says here that it's interesting that this is the only way, through the Creator Son, that the universal Father can actually personally contact immature creature beings. And that's what we are.
yeah.
We don't like to admit it, but that's what we are. We're one step up from the animals, really. And this is the only way that the universal Father, through the Son, can contact us, right? Because He dwells within us and influences us, but that's an internal contact, from within coming out. The divinity of the Creator Son is an external contact, coming from without, coming within. Okay? So the universal Father has seen the purpose of making our contact with Him both internal and external, right? Now, when we deal with the Creator Son, we're dealing with all practical purposes with the Father, the divinity of the Father, and the Son, the eternal Son. Okay? And that's a hard concept to get.
And the eternal Son is also the universal mother.
And the universal mother. That's correct. Okay? You want to take the next one, dear?
Our Creator Son exerts the same spiritual drawing power, spirit gravity, from the headquarters of the local universe that the eternal Son of Paradise would exert if he were personally present on Salvington, and more. This universe Son is also the personification of the universal Father to the universe of Nebadon. Creator Sons are personality centers for the spiritual forces of the Paradise Father-Son. Creator Sons are the final power, personality focalizations of the mighty time-space attributes of God the Sevenfold.
Okay, so He not only represents the Father and the Son, but He also represents God the Sevenfold. Okay, and within that, it includes the experiential part of the Supreme Being. It's very important for us to understand that the Michael Sons are part of the fruition of the Supreme Being, and they realize how important this is for each and every one of them. Okay? So, this is the universal circuits of paradise. We've been over this slide many times, but you can see the Father's personality gravity circuit, the Eternal Son's spiritual gravity circuit, and the conjoined actors mind gravity circuit, and then we have the material gravity circuit of paradise, right? Okay, and the last two are both really controlled through the conjoint actor, right? Or through the infinite spirit. Okay. The Creator Son is the vicegerent personalization of the Universal Father, the divinity coordinate of the Eternal Son, and the creative associate of the Infinite Spirit. To our universe and all its inhabited worlds, the Sovereign Son is, to all practical intents and purposes, God. He personifies all of the paradise deities, which evolving mortals can discerningly comprehend. This Son and His Spirit associate are your Creator parents. Notice both of them are there. To you, Michael, the Creator Son, is the Supreme Personality. To you, the Eternal Son is Super Supreme, an infinite deity personality. Okay? So the Eternal Son is just the next step up. That's all there is to it. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
In the person of the Creator Son, we have a ruler and divine parent who is just, mighty, efficient, and beneficent, as would be the Universal Father and the Eternal Son, if both were present on Salvington and engaged in the administration of the affairs of the universe Nebadon.
So when the Creator Son speaks, it's just as if it came from whom? The Father and the Son, right? You know, they talk about the Word of God, you know. He is the epitome of the act and the Word of God. Okay? All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. The Sovereign of Nebadon. Observation of Creator Sons discloses that some resemble more the Father, some the Son, while others are a blend of both their infinite parents. Our Creator Son very definitely manifests traits and attributes which more resemble the Eternal Son.
So our Creator Son more acts personality-wise more like the Eternal Son than he does the Universal Father. He's totally subservient to the Universal Father at all times, right? Probably there's other Creator Sons that act more like the Father figure than the Son figure, right? Okay. Dear.
Michael elected to organize this local universe, and herein he now reigns supreme. His personal power is limited by the pre-existent gravity circuit centering at Paradise, and by the reservation on the part of these Ancients of Days of the super-universe government of all final executive judgments regarding the extinction of personality. Personality is the sole bestowal of the Father, but the Creator Sons, with the approval of the Eternal Son, do initiate new creature designs, and with the working cooperation of their spirit associates, they may attempt new transformations of energy matter.
Well, you could spend a week on this paragraph. You really could. Okay? Michael reigns supreme, but he reigns through the personal power of the pre-existent gravity circuit. You know those circuits we just looked at? They're already there, even when he starts his new universe, right? And these center in Paradise. And the Ancients of Days, which is the super universe level of government, okay, are the only ones in all the 7 super universes that have a final degree of extinction of personality. So, if your local universe determines you have nothing salvageable and you should not survive, it gets kicked up to the Ancients of Days for final approval, and only they can execute that judgment. Okay? So all judgments of extinction go through the Ancients of Days. All of them. Even though you could be convicted locally. Okay? Through the local systems. Alright? The other thing that's interesting here is personality is the sole bestowal of the Father. But that the sons, by the approval of the Eternal Son, of course, but the sons do initiate new creature designs and beings with the creative Mother Spirit. That's their spirit associates, right? So together they do attempt new transformations of energy matter, which means what? New beings, okay? Especially in an experimental universe, or an experimental planet like we are. Every 10th planet they're allowed to make changes and kind of tweak the beings a little bit. And that's exactly what we are. We're a 10th planet, right? So we've been tweaked slightly, and some of the benefits we don't know yet. We'll probably know in the future. But other things that may not be a benefit is things like the diseases we have and things like that. And that's what our Adam and Eve bestowal was supposed to straighten out. You know, makes us more resilient spiritually and more resilient as beings, right? So that did not come fully to fruition, so we have to deal with these little problems like diseases and bugs and things like that that they now should have been taken care of, right? Okay, and this is another picture of the circuits we were just talking about. Michael is the personification of the Paradise Father Son to and in the local universe of Nebadon. Therefore, when the creative Mother Spirit, the local universe representation of the Infinite Spirit, subordinates herself to Christ Michael upon the return of his final bestowal on Urantia, the Master Son thereby acquired jurisdiction over all power in heaven and earth. Point here. He could not take hold of all power in heaven and earth without the creative Mother Spirit subordinating herself to him. Because she controls what? All the mind circuits, the adjutant mind circuits, the matter, the gravity circuits, all the host of ministering spirits and everything, she controls, right? So she subordinates herself to him, thereby giving him all power in heaven and earth, right? It's only through this subordination that this can happen, all right? As of record, no creative Mother Spirit has not subordinated herself to the Michael sons, okay? And this is the local universe spirits, and we've talked about these before, but I want to go over them again. The bestowal spirit of the paradise sons, the comforter of the bestowal worlds, the spirit of truth, the spirit of Michael on Urantia. This is Michael's spirit that's poured out upon all the earth on Pentecost. It is controlled by whom? The local universe Mother Spirit. We missed that point. Then, as a separate spirit, there's the circuit of the divine ministers, the local universe Mother Spirit. This is the Holy Spirit of our world. Okay? So we have the Spirit of Truth, which is the Spirit of Michael. Then we have the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of the local universe Mother Spirit. Right? She gets that through the Infinite Spirit. He gets the Spirit of Truth through whom? The Son, the Eternal Son. It's the downstepping of the Spirit. And then we also have the intelligent ministry of the local universe, which includes diverse functioning presence of the adjutant mind spirits. This is the mind spirit of the Infinite Spirit brought down through the creative Mother Spirit. So can you see how all three of these is dependent upon whom? The creative Mother Spirit. You see the importance of the creative Mother Spirit? I wanted to point that out. Okay.
What about the Holy Ghost?
That is the Holy Spirit. That is the spirit of the creative Mother Spirit or the Infinite Spirit coming through her. Okay? So the Holy Ghost, as they speak of in many churches, is the Holy Spirit. Okay?
I figured.
All right, now keep in mind, the Spirit of Truth, the Holy Spirit, was functioning before Pentecost. Okay? It has always been here. Always will be. The Spirit of Truth was not. The Spirit of Truth started at Pentecost when the apostles went to the room at Pentecost and received what they talk about as the Holy Spirit. It was really the Spirit of Truth. Okay?
I wonder if they were aware of it.
Yes, they were quite aware. They discerned a new presence within themselves, all of them. You know, I'm sure it was a joyous occasion. You know,
Well, all mankind did, right?
all mankind did. Not only them, but all mankind. It's just recorded as Pentecost, right? That's the Spirit that Jesus promised all the way through His bestowal. He said, "Well, I have to leave so that I can bring my Spirit to you." He could not dwell in each and every one of us until the Spirit of Truth was poured out. Until then, who dwelled within each and every one of us? The creative Mother Spirit. She did that through the Holy Spirit and the seven adjutants. Okay? Seven adjutants through the Mind Spirit. The Holy Spirit came through the Infinite Spirit. Right? So on Pentecost, we got the gift of the Spirit of Truth, which is the Spirit of Michael. Okay? Does that make sense?
Is that considered reflective consciousness, though, with the Spirit of Truth, so that we are able to discern the truth?
That's exactly right. We are able to discern the truth better because of the Spirit of Truth. Right? Okay, and that's the case on Pentecost. Now keep in mind too, when this happens, when the Spirit of truth was poured upon on all men, it's an external force, it immediately made spirit possession impossible. We need to make that point because people still believe that they can be, possessed by spirits. This is impossible with the Spirit of truth. The Spirit of the Son of God cannot exist in the same vessel as someone with an evil spirit. Okay? Can't happen. Won't happen. Hasn't happened since Pentecost. The spirit possessions we've seen since Pentecost are insanity. People's own minds. Okay? Embracing evil. Evil is real. It's out there. So we can choose to go to the dark instead of the light. We can. But the Spirit of truth protects us from that. All we have to do is call on it. Okay.
You know what, Roger?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if the American natives who also experienced Pentecost is perhaps they call the Spirit of truth the Great White Spirit.
It's very possible, Rodney. It's very possible. Most of the time, most people believe that what they're referring to, though, in the Great White Spirit is usually the Universal Father. That's the concept most people get. But it could very well be that's the case, though, Rodney. It could be because the difference of the Spirit of truth on Pentecost, they are more aware of the spiritual presence. So, could be very well that's part of it. So, okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay. This subordination of the divine ministers to the Creator's sons of the local universes constitutes these master sons the personal repositories of the finitely manifestable divinity of the Father, Son, and Spirit, while the creature bestowal experiences of the Michaels qualify them to portray the experiential divinity of the Supreme Being. No other beings in the universes have thus personally exhausted the potentials of present finite experience, and no other beings in the universes possess such qualifications for solitary sovereignty.
Okay, so the Michael sons have gone from divinity through the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, have all the experience of the spirit world, the Morancha world, and the physical world, right? And because of those experiences, they actually add to the divinity of the Supreme Being. Okay? The Supreme Being can only exist through experience. Okay? So each and every Michael, as they finish their final bestowal, they add that experience to the Supreme Being and makes the Supreme Being one step closer to fruition. Okay? And by doing this, they are the only beings in the universe that have exhausted all the potentials of this finite experience to qualify them as the sovereign of their universe. No other being does this. Only the Michael sons. All the experience of all the other sons of God are an adjunct to this sovereignty. Okay? It's only the Michaels that add to the experience of the Supreme Being as a divine son. Right? We all add to the experience of the Supreme Being through our finite experience. Right? And we'll do the same as Morancha beings and spiritual beings. So we add in a different way. Ours is not a divinity experience. Ours is a personal experience on our way to what? Divinity. Right? You see the difference? All right. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Although Michael's headquarters is officially located on Salvington, the capital of Nevadon, he spends much of his time visiting the constellation and system headquarters and even the individual planets. Periodically he journeys to Paradise and often to Uversa, where he counsels with the Ancients of Days, and when he is away, From Salvington, his place is assured by Gabriel.
Assumed by Gabriel.
Assumed by Gabriel. I couldn't read that.
Yeah.
Who then functions as regent of the universe of Nebadon.
So when he's away, because Gabriel is the firstborn and he has all the attributes of divinity of both the creative mother spirit and Michael, he assumes control, right? When he's away. And he acts as his regent or vice regent of Michael while he's gone. Okay, so this all power of heaven and earth is delegated to Gabriel when Michael has to be away from the capital, right? Now, I want to mention something here too. Gabriel, because of his placement of creation so high, being the firstborn of our local universe, has a divinity function that's almost equal to Michael and the creative mother spirit without the creative ability. Okay? So he's very high on the divinity scale. He would never default. Ever.
Yeah,
No.
never.
Never. Okay? Alright. Here, would you take the next one?
All right. But then I've got a remark. It says here that he oftentimes visits individual planets.
Right.
He did promise to come here again.
He did promise to come here again. The difference is, though, Rodney, he has promised to come back here in power and glory.
Which
Okay?
means spirit form, right?
Probably in spirit form. And when he does, every being on our planet will know that he has returned. Okay?
Wow.
So you could imagine dozens and dozens and dozens of ways in our age where this could happen. You know, we have television, we have computers, we have everything you could possibly imagine, plus the circuits of the universe, the spiritual broadcast circuits. They could make a screen appear in front of every living being on this planet simultaneously showing Michael returning. You know, we can't even imagine the possibilities that that he could come back as. So don't you think if he returns, it's not going to be a little secret visit. It's going to be quite amazing if he does.
That's just what
when
we
he
need
does.
now.
Yeah, it is. When he does, the reason he may be delaying returning is he wants all beings on this planet to have experiences on their own and make their own decision. Because you can imagine if he came in power and glory, do you think there'd be very many beings on this planet that would not believe in the Creator Son? Not likely, you know. Because they would see something that there's no possibility they could ever see anywhere else, you know. So, and that on that moment, the whole shift of the planet will change immediately. You know,
Oh, yeah.
people would be reevaluating their lives really quickly. You know,
Oh, yeah, they will be.
who's up? You?
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's what this book does.
it does
It makes you reevaluate every single thing in your life.
every single thing. Yeah.
3. The universe, sun, and spirit. While pervading all the universes of time and space, the infinite spirit functions from the headquarters of each local universe as a specialized focalization acquiring full personality, qualities by the technique of creative cooperation with the Creator Son. As concerns a local universe, the administrative authority of a Creator Son is supreme. The infinite spirit as a divine minister is wholly cooperative, though perfectly coordinate.
Okay, so the infinite spirit functions from each and every local universe. Now, how does the infinite spirit do this? Through the creative mother spirit, right? She is the agent for the infinite spirit, bar none. Period. That's just all there is to it, right? So as far as the administrative authority, the creative Son is supreme, but the infinite spirit functions through what? The divine minister who is wholly cooperative though perfectly coordinate. So she is the equal with Michael. The infinite spirit speaks through her, right? So you have to think of Michael as the head of the universe, the sovereign of the universe, and the infinite spirit is equal on equal status, but she is always subordinate to Michael by choice, by her own personal choice, right? Okay.
You're saying the infinite spirit is the mother spirit?
No, the infinite spirit is not the mother spirit. The local universe mother spirit has a separate personality, but she acts, the infinite spirit acts through her. Just like God the Father acts through the Son, and God the Son acts through the Son. So any act of the infinite spirit is done locally through the creative mother spirit, right? Just like the divinity of our local universe has dropped down through the Father, the infinite Son, to the Creator Son. Works the same way. So we have the influence of the Trinity constantly through the pair of the Michael and the creative mother spirit, right? Goes from 3 to 1. Does that make sense? Because you have the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, and they act through and to the creative Son and the creative mother spirit, right? All right. The universe mother spirit of Salvington, the associate of Michael, in the control and administration of Nebadon, is of the 6th group of supreme spirits. That's important, the 6th group of supreme spirits. We all get up to the 6th group of spirits, okay? Being the 611,121st of that order. She volunteered to accompany Michael on this occasion of his liberation from paradise, obligations, and has ever since functioned with him in creating and governing his universe, and she always will. She will never leave. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
The 6th group out of, what, 7?
The 6th group. Michael is the 611,121st. He is of the 6th group of creator sons. Now what does that mean? That means that within the 7 super universes, there are only 6 functioning groups all the way to paradise. The 7th will be when the Supreme Being comes into full fruition on the Jubilee of Jubilees of the 7 super universe. Then we will be on the 7th level of perfection, right? But all levels right now only go up to 6. When we get to become finaliters, we're 6th level spirit beings. Okay? We won't become 7th until the fruition of the Supreme Being, and that will all happen to us all at the exact same moment.
So you're saying the 6th group and the 6th level are the same?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. In other words, this is as high as you can possibly go in this 7th super universe. It will not go higher until the fruition of the Supreme. Then we will kick into the 7th level. When we kick into the 7th level, all the creator sons will kick into the 7th level. All the mortals that's fought their way up through eternity and become finaliter will kick into the 7th level. We will all do it simultaneously. Okay?
Okay.
We will be the seventh sons at that time, you know, as the movies say. All right? All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
The Master Creator Son is the personal sovereign of his universe, and in all the details of its management, the universe spirit is co-director with the Son. While the Spirit ever acknowledges the Son as supreme, as sovereign and ruler, the Son always accords the Spirit a coordinate position and equality of authority in all the affairs of the realm, and all of his work of love and life bestowal, the Creator Son is always and ever perfectly sustained and ably assisted by the all-wise and ever-faithful universe spirit and by all of her diversified retinue of angelic personalities. Such a divine minister is in reality the mother of spirits and spirit personalities, the ever-present and all-wise advisor of the Creator Son, a faithful and true manifestation of the Paradise Infinite Spirit.
So she is his partner. She is the manifestation of the Paradise Infinite Spirit to the local universe and him, right? So she is the what? The perfect partner. She is the concept of family. All of our concepts of family, our basis for marriage, our children, everything else comes from whom? The creative Mother Spirit. Okay? The Son, the Creator Son, and the creative Mother Spirit would be considered a perfect what? Marriage. That's what we should pattern our marriages after. You know? Just like the Son does. Okay? Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes, got it. The Son functions as a father in his local universe. The Spirit, as mortal creatures would understand, enacts the role of a mother, always assisting the Son and being everlastingly indispensable to the administration of the universe. In the face of insurrection, only the Son and his associated sons can function as deliverers. Never can the Spirit undertake to contest rebellion or defend authority, but ever does the Spirit sustain the Son in all of everything that he may be required to experience in his efforts to stabilize government and uphold authority on worlds tainted with evil or dominated by sin. Only a son can retrieve the work of their joint creation, but no son could hope for final success without the incessant cooperation of the divine minister and her vast assemblage of spirit helpers, the daughters of God, who so faithfully and valiantly struggle for the welfare of mortal man and the glory of their divine parents.
So it's the Son's responsibility to administer all his creation. Only he can retrieve a creation that has gone so far into evil it's non-retrievable. It's non-fixable, right? But it is the creative Mother Spirit, the mother part of the relationship, that sustains everyone through all of these efforts. Okay? But it's the Son's responsibility to keep us straight. So, when Lucifer rebelled, whose responsibility is it to straighten it out? It's the Son's. Who does he use to act for his word? Gabriel, right? He's the chief executive. That's why the case of the Lucifer rebellion is Gabriel versus Lucifer. Okay? Because Gabriel is the representation of Michael, and it's Michael's responsibility to keep his universe in check. So, when this goes before the ancient courts of the Ancients of Days, Gabriel will be the representation of Michael, and Lucifer will be the representation of his evil ways. Right? Okay? But this is not the job of the creative Mother Spirit. The creative Mother Spirit is to minister, sustain, and keep the universe in check. Right? It's not her responsibility. She can't step out and handle the rebellion on her own. Okay? Did you read, dear?
Oh, yes. Upon the completion of the Creator Son's seventh and final creature bestowal, the uncertainties of periodic isolation terminate for the Divine Minister, and the Son's universe helper becomes forever settled in surety and control. It is at the enthronement of the Creator Son as a Master Son, at the Jubilee of Jubilees, that the universe spirit, before the assembled host, first makes public and universal acknowledgement of subordination to the Son, pledging fidelity and obedience. This event occurred in Nebadon at the time of Michael's return to Salvington after the Urantian bestowal. Never before this momentous occasion did the universe spirit acknowledge subordination to the universe son, and not until after this voluntary relinquishment of power and authority by the spirit could it be truthfully proclaimed to the son that all power in heaven and on earth has been committed to his hand.
Okay, so you see the importance of this, right? The seventh, the Jubilee of Jubilees. Because at that point, Michael he is granted all power on heaven and earth through the creative Mother Spirit, and then he turns around and makes her his equal, right? All right. After this pledge of subordination by the creative Mother Spirit, Michael of Nebadon nobly acknowledged his eternal independence, eternal dependence on his spirit companion, constituting the spirit co-ruler of his universe domains, and requiring all their creatures to pledge themselves in loyalty to the spirit as they had to the Son. And there issued and went forth the final proclamation of equality. Though he was the sovereign of his local universe, the Son published to the worlds the fact of the spirit equality with him and all endowments of personality and attributes of divine character. And this becomes the transcendent pattern for the family organization and government of even the lowly creatures of worlds of space. This is indeed and in truth the high ideal of the family and human institution of voluntary marriage. This is the pattern. So, when you get married, it's the husband's right to be the head of the household, right? But, along with that right is the right of the wife to assume equality. So, it's her responsibility. If the husband misleads the family, what is she to do? She's to step in and take control, right? It's a partnership. It's equal. But this is the pattern for the universe, right? It's the husband's responsibility to make sure his family has food, clothing, shelter, all those things required for his family to function, okay? It's the wife's right to request that this is done constantly, okay? It's not her responsibility to take care of all the bills. It's not her responsibility to make sure her children's fed. That is the husband's responsibility. So where did we mess up in our lives? We started all divorcing like crazy. So what has to happen? The mothers have to step in and take the head of the household, don't they? They have to raise the kids. They have to be the mother and the father. And this is going against the pattern of the universe. So when you get married, and this is for the people at home, it is not only your wife's right to expect these things of you, it's your responsibility to deliver these things to your wife. It's a partnership. You cannot separate. Does that make sense?
It does.
It really does. So, when you read in the Bible, when Paul is talking about wives be subservient to their husbands, husbands be subservient to their wives, it's not that your husband is to overrule you. That's not what it means. It means that you're partnerships, and you should give as much to your wife as your wife gives to you. It's an equal partnership, just like the Creator Son and the Creative Mother Spirit. What did the Creator Son do when He first came back? He gave all the power to whom? The Creative Mother Spirit. And that's what we do when we get married. You take the power from yourself and you give it to your wife. Right? What do wives do? They take the power from themselves and they give it to their husbands. So, it becomes a co-mingled partnership. They're not separate any longer. Does that make sense? Okay, and I think that's what they're talking about, that the breakdown of this planet will be the breakdown of the family relationships. Okay, it's set up that way for a reason, you know. So when we stop getting married and we stop having partners and that sort of thing, we've gone against what the pattern of the universe is. Okay? Enough said on that, right? Okay. All right. Who's up? I think Rodney is. Okay.
Okay, well, the Son and the Spirit now preside over the universe, much as the Father and Mother watch over and minister to their family of sons and daughters. It is not altogether out of place to refer to the universe Spirit as the creative companion of the Creator's Son, and to regard the creatures of the realms as their sons and daughters. A grand and glorious family, but one of untold responsibilities and endless watch care.
Endless watch care. And that's endless. It works both ways, right? Each other. All right. Millie, would you take the next one? I've been very preachy tonight, haven't I? Millie?
The Son. You ready?
Yeah.
The Son initiates the creation of certain of the universe children, while the Spirit is solely responsible for bringing into existence the numerous orders of spirit personalities who minister and serve on the direction and guidance of the self-same Mother Spirit. In the creation of other types of universe personalities, both the Son and the Spirit function together, and in no creative act does the one do aught without the counsel and approval of the other.
So how does that work with us? We make no decision regarding the family without the approval and the counsel of the opposite mate, right? That's the way it works. All right. Well, this would be a great paper to teach people how to act in a marriage, when marriage counseling. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
For Gabriel, the chief executive, the bright and morning star is the personalization of the first concept of identity and ideal of personality, conceived by the Creator Son and the local universe manifestation of the Infinite Spirit. Going back to the early days of the local universe, before the union of the Creator Son and the Mother Spirit in the bonds of creative association, back to the times before the beginning of the creation of their versatile family of sons and daughters, the first conjoint act of this early and free association of these two divine persons results in the creation of the highest spirit personality of the Son and the Spirit, the bright and morning star.
So the first act they did, right? The bright and morning star. Only one such being of wisdom and majesty is brought forth in each local universe. The universal Father and the eternal Son can and do in fact do create an unlimited number of sons in divinity, equal to themselves, but such sons, in union with daughters of the infinite Spirit, can create only one bright and morning star in each universe, a being like themselves and partaking freely of their combined natures, but not of their creator prerogatives. Yeah. Gabriel of Salvington is like the universal Son in divinity of nature, though considerably limited in the attributes of deity. Okay? So he's got the divinity, but not all the attributes of deity. Only the Creator Son has that. Right? But he's the highest being in our local universe closest to Michael. Right? Okay. Rodney.
the firstborn of the parents of the new universe is a unique personality possessing wonderful traits, not physically present in either ancestor. A being of unprecedented versatility and unimagined brilliance. This supernal personality embraces the divine will of the Son combined with the creative imagination of the Spirit. The thoughts and acts of the bright and morning star will ever be fully representative of both the Creator Son and the Creator Spirit. Such a is almost capable of a broad understanding of and sympathetic contact with both the spiritual.
You still there, Rodney? Spiritual seraphic host and the material evolutionary will creatures. Did we lose you, Rodney?
Yeah.
We lost it. Okay, let me kind of go over this before I lose my thought here. So the bright and morning star, it's trying to get him back, is a combination of both the Creator Son and the Creative Spirit. Okay? He's got attributes of both at the same time. Okay? So this gives him a unique capability of understanding both all the created beings and the spiritual host, the spiritual ministers, at the same time. Let me see if I can reconnect him. Let's see. You back, Rodney?
I don't know what.
Yeah, they just dropped you. Yeah, in that last sentence. What I was saying, Rodney, is the bright and morning star is the combination of both the Creator Son and the Creative Spirit. So he's a being who is sympathetic to both human or created beings. He's also sympathetic with the spiritual beings because he is a combination of both type of beings, right? The ministering spirits and the evolutionary will creatures, both.
Wouldn't that be parallel to the Father, to the Universal Father and the Universal Mother, the Eternal Son, in creating the Infinite Spirit?
Yeah, it is. So the Infinite Spirit has part of both, right?
And he possesses many wonderful traits not visibly present in either ancestor.
Right.
A being of unprecedented versatility and unimagined brilliance.
Yeah.
I've got a question about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rodney.
The brilliance part, is that speaking of mental or actual life?
It's probably a little of both, Rodney. It's probably a little bit of both mental brilliance and physical brilliance. In other words, you can imagine a being that's created as the epitome of the infinite spirit, right, or the creative mother spirit. When he is in a room, he must illuminate the room beyond imagination, brilliantly, you know.
Oh, sure.
But of the physical brilliance. But also he's one step down from the Creator Son and the creative mother spirit. So his mental brilliance is probably beyond compare also. Because when he was born, when he was created, he came out was evolved as a full intelligent being. He wasn't born of a mother. He didn't have experience to get where he was. He had all the attributes of who he was at the time of birth or the time of creation.
Oh, wow.
You know, so he was created with his brain completely full of whatever it was he needed, right? And that's hard for us to even comprehend.
Well, he's identical to both parents. It's just he cannot create.
He can't create. That's right.
That's the only difference, right?
That's right.
Can't create other beings, you mean?
He can't create other beings.
Okay. So he doesn't have a partnership like...
No. He's a single entity, right? Only creation can happen with one of the other two parents involved, right? So, when he was created, the downstepping of all the rest of the creatures was from the Creator Son and the Creative Mother Spirit, not Gabriel. But he is the head, the top dog in all of them, right? All right, Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Does it start the bright and morning star?
Yeah, that's it.
The bright and morning star is not a creator, but he is a marvelous administrator, being the personal administrative representative of the Creator's Son. Aside from creation and life impartation, what's impartation?
In other words, it's a creative spirit that imparts life to all beings. She is
Okay.
that spark of life that starts you up, okay, at birth.
Aside from creation and life impartation, the Son and the Spirit never confer upon important universe procedures without Gabriel's presence.
So everything that goes on in the universe, Gabriel's present. Knows everything. Administers everything. No exception to anything. Both spiritual things, physical things, moral things, finite things. He is involved in everything. Okay? All right. And this is a picture of the creation of the bright Gabriel, the bright morning star. We see Michael, we see the universal mother spirit, and Gabriel, the bright morning star down here. Okay?
So that's a trinity.
It's a what?
Trinity.
In essence, it is like a trinity. But we can't give Gabriel, give the idea that Gabriel's on the level of like the infinite spirit, because he's
I
not.
understand.
He's not the creative equal with Michael and the universe mother spirit. It's a duality, not a triality, or not three things. It's two things, right? He is the creation of the two things. I want you to get the idea that Gabriel's equal with Michael and the universe mother spirit, because he's not. He doesn't have the creative attributes and all of the divinity attributes.
Which makes him a perfect administrator.
Which makes him a perfect administrator. That's right. Forget what this. Oh, yeah. It says, in council with the Most High, Gabriel assumes command of the loyal host of Satania. Michael remained on Salvington, while Gabriel proceeded to Jerusalem to establish himself on the scene dedicated to the Father, in the presence of the foregathered host of loyal personality. He displayed the banner of Michael. This is during the rebellion, the material emblem of the Trinity government of all creation. The three azure blue concentric circles on a white background. You see it at the very top up there?
Mm-hmm.
And Gabriel appeared on the finaliter world number 7 during the Lucifer rebellion, claiming the sovereignty of Michael. And this is where it all started, Gabriel versus Lucifer. Okay? And that's where the banner of Michael comes from. Okay? It's that little bitty 3 concentric circles up here. Okay? Don't want to do that too often. I drive my cats crazy. Okay.
Gabriel of Salvington is the chief executive of the universe of Nebadon, and the arbiter of all executive appeals respecting its administration. This universe executive was created fully endowed for his work, but he has gained experience with the growth and evolution of our local creation.
Okay, so he is the chief executive. Handles all the appeals as far as administration go. All right, Gabriel is the chief officer of execution for super-universe mandates relating to non-personal affairs in the local universe. That means everything having to do with anything, he is the one that says do it or not do it, right? With the exception of personal affairs, extinction of life. Most matter pertains to mass judgment and dispensational resurrections, adjudicated by the Ancients of Days, are also delegated to Gabriel and his staff for execution. What does that mean? It means every time we have a mass resurrection or a dispensational adjudication, it's Gabriel and his beings that perform this, right? Gabriel is thus the combined chief executive, both the super and local universe rulers. He has at his command an able corps of administrative assistants created for their special work, who are unrevealed to evolutionary mortals. So there's a lot of beings they don't tell us about. In addition to these assistants, Gabriel may employ any and all of the orders of celestial beings functioning in Nebadon, and he is also the commander-in-chief of the armies of heaven, the celestial host. So he
That's
is...
not the archangels.
That's not the archangels, right? They're a separate order. Okay? But all other angels in our local universe, Gabriel is the head guy. Even the archangels, though, respect anything that Gabriel decides, right? They're not directly under him, but they, once they're assigned to this universe, they always do whatever he says, right? They don't have to, but they voluntarily do this, right? Okay. Who's up?
I believe
Rodney? I think you're up.
Gabriel and his staff are not teachers. They are administrators. They were never known to depart from their regular work except when Michael was incarnated on a creature bestowal. During such bestowals, Gabriel was ever attendant on the will of the incarnated Son, and with the collaboration of the Unions of Days, he became the actual director of universe affairs during the latter bestowals. Gabriel has been closely identified with the history and development of Urantia ever since the mortal bestowal of Michael.
So don't you think this planet's a little special to the universe? You know, this is where the final acts of Michael's bestowal of life happened. You know, and Gabriel was attendant to everything that went on. He was attendant to Emmanuel, who took over for the Creator Son, but he still acted as the chief administrator during these absences, right? Okay. Millie.
Aside from meeting Gabriel on the bestowal worlds, and at the times of general and special resurrection roll calls, mortals will seldom encounter him as they ascend through the local universe until they are inducted into the administrative work of the local creation. As administrators of whatever order or degree, you will come under the direction of Gabriel.
So when we get to the level of Salvington and we have administrative work to do, we will come under his purview, right? Each and every one of us. I got a cat that just loves me down here.
5. The Trinity Ambassadors. The administration of Trinity origin personalities ends with the government of the super-universes. The local universes are characterized by dual supervision, the beginning of the Father-Mother concept. The universe Father is the Creator Son. The universe Mother is the Divine Minister. The local universe Creative Spirit. Every local universe is, however, blessed with the presence of certain personalities from the central universe and Paradise. At the head of this Paradise group in Nebadon is the ambassador of the Paradise Trinity, Emmanuel of Salvington, the Union of Days assigned to the local universe of Nebadon. In a certain sense, this High Trinity Son is also the personal representative of the Universal Father to the court of the Creator Son. Hence his name is Emmanuel.
So, Emmanuel, our Union of Days, is a Son of God, just like Jesus is the Son of God. But Emmanuel is not a Creator Son, right? But he was created perfect, and he's assigned as an ambassador to this universe. You know what his number is? 611,121. That's right. So he's
Just like Creator Sons, there are many Emmanuel.
That's right. They were created for this purpose, perfectly, right? To be the representation of the Trinity. Okay, here we go. Emmanuel of Salvington, number 611,121. Of the sixth, there's that sixth order again, of Supreme Trinity personalities. He is a being of sublime dignity and of such superb condensation that he refuses the worship and adoration of all living creatures. So if you ever meet anybody that says he's Emmanuel, he won't ask you to worship him, right? He bears the distinction of being the only personality in all Nebadon who has never acknowledged subordination to his brother Michael, because he's a son of God equal, right?
Exactly.
He functions as advisor to the sovereign Son, but gives counsel only on request. In the absence of the Creator Son, he might preside over any high council, universe council, but would not otherwise participate in the executive affairs of the universe except as requested. So he never gives his advice unless they ask for it, right?
So it makes you wonder what he does.
Well, he is the Father's representation, or the Trinity's representation to the local universe. Okay, so he reports only back to whom? The Trinity. Okay, and this is a picture of Emmanuel, the Union of Days. Michael Salling. Okay? Rodney.
When it says here, he refuses the worship and adoration of all living creatures,
Yes.
of spirit beings,
Right.
considered living creatures.
Yes, they are. Now, what's the difference between him and the Creator Son? The Creator Son will accept worship in the name of the Father. So when you pray, and you pray to Jesus or Michael, whichever, that worship goes through Jesus straight to the Father, right? So the Son will accept worship in the name of the Father. Emmanuel will not. Okay? It's Emmanuel's opinion that you should, if you have worship, it should go directly through the Son to the Father, directly to the Father. One of the two. Not through him.
It's interesting around Christmas time, they think Emmanuel is another name for Jesus.
Yeah, they do.
That's true.
And that's just
Christmas time.
yeah, it's
Not
confusion.
Christmas time, but Easter time too.
Yeah.
Boy, Easter as well, I agree.
Yeah, it's also confusing because in the New Testament, upon the birth of Jesus, they misinterpreted what the angel said and said he will be called Emmanuel,
That's right.
right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the big confusion is, instead of realizing Emmanuel is a separate being, right?
It's also like Almighty God too.
Yeah. Right. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one, please? Or did you just read that one?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I think you read.
Okay.
Okay, this ambassador of paradise to Lebanon is not subject to the jurisdiction of the local universe government. Neither does he exercise authoritative jurisdiction in the executive affairs of an evolving local universe, except in the supervision of his liaison brethren, the faithful of days, serving on the headquarters of the constellations.
Now, when Emmanuel took over for Jesus during his absence of bestowal, right, which he did many times, 7 times, he did that in the name of the Father, right? So anything that happened during that period of time was backed up through the Ancients of Days to the Father, okay? Any other time, Emmanuel would not take a stand. Now, how did he back up anything he said? He did it through Gabriel, the chief executive, right? So the pecking order of function is still there even during the bestowals. Gabriel would execute anything Emmanuel said that was a message from the Father, right? So there's always that administration in place, even during the times of the bestowals. Okay? Did he already read this, dear?
Yes.
Serving on the headquarters.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I want to mention something here. Okay. It also mentions here the local universe. He doesn't have a jurisdiction in the local universe except in the supervision of his liaison brethren, the faithful of the days, serving on the constellation headquarters. The faithful of days are the last of the paradise Trinity representatives to the universes. Okay? And that only goes down to the constellation level, right? So there's 100, keep in mind there are 100 systems in a constellation, right? So that is the last level of the supervision of the of the Paradise Trinity, right? So when we had rebellion, it was on what? The system level, right? The system of Satania. So our leader of the system of Satania was Lucifer, and he was the one that rebelled, right? Okay, and remember there's normally 1,000 inhabitable planets on a system. We only had 1,619 at the time of rebellion. Okay? Okay. Melly, would you take the next one?
Okay. The faithfuls of days, like the union of days, never proffer advice or offer assistance to the constellation rulers unless it is asked for. These paradise ambassadors to the constellations represent the final personal presence of the stationary sons of the Trinity functioning in advisory roles in the local universes. Constellations are more closely related to the super-universe administration than local systems, which are administered exclusively by personalities native to the local universe.
Okay, so those are run by the natives, the Lananadek sons and the Verandadek sons, right? And they're closer related to the systems rather than constellations. Okay? General administration.
Gabriel is the chief executive and actual administrator of Nebadon. Michael's absence from Salvington in no way interferes with the orderly conduct of universe affairs. During the absence of Michael, as recently on the mission of reunion of Arvanton, master sons on Paradise, Gabriel is the regent of the universe. At such times, Gabriel always seeks the counsel of Emmanuel of Salvington regarding all major problems.
So he always gets advice when Michael has to be away from the local universe, right? The father Melchizedek is Gabriel's first assistant. He's the next one, right? When the bright and morning star is absent from Salvington, his responsibilities are assumed by this original Melchizedek son. And we know the Melchizedeks are the teaching order of sonship, right? Okay. Rodney.
The various sub-administrations of the universe have assigned to them certain special domains of responsibility, while, in general, the system government looks after the welfare of its planets. It is more particularly concerned with the physical status of living beings, with biological problems. In turn, the constellation rulers paid its special attention to the social and governmental conditions prevailing on the different planets and systems. A constellation government is chiefly exercised over unification and stabilization. Still higher up, the universe rulers are more occupied with the spiritual status of the realm.
So on the lower levels, it's the physical makeup of the planet, the way we're progressing physically, and biologically, things like that. As we go higher and higher, it becomes more of a concern on the spiritual level, right? So as we progress upward through the universe, their concerns also progress with us, right? And their administration also progress with us. Millie.
Ambassadors are appointed by judicial decree and represent universes to other universes. Consuls are representatives of constellations to one another and to the universe headquarters. They are appointed by legislative decree and function only within the confines of the local universe. Observers are commissioned by executive decree of a system sovereign to represent that system to other systems. And at the constellation capital, they too function only within the confines of the local universe.
Kind of sounds like Star Trek, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's what I was thinking.
It does, It's what everybody else is doing in your local universe, right? In your local constellation. That's what becomes important to you. Okay? Dear, would you take the next one?
And wasn't it the writer of Star Wars,
Gene Roddenberry?
Gene Roddenberry, that actually had read the Urantia book?
Yeah.
From Salvington, broadcasts are simultaneously directed to the constellation headquarters, the system headquarters, and to individual planets. All higher orders of celestial beings are able to utilize this service for communication with their fellows scattered throughout the universe. The universe broadcast is extended to all inhabited worlds regardless of their spiritual status. Planetary intercommunication is denied only those worlds under spiritual quarantine.
So, because we're under spiritual quarantine still, we can't communicate with other planets, right? And we can send out messages all we want, but we can't communicate with any other planets. They don't allow us to do that. When the spiritual quarantine has been lifted, then we will be able to not only hear the universal broadcast, but we will be able to communicate to other planets. So all this work we're doing, trying to find other beings in the universe, it's not going to happen until this spiritual quarantine is lifted.
Well, when you say we, you don't mean each individual. It's just
no, we're talking about us as a planet. We can try to send out signals to all the planets out there all we want to, but they're not allowed to respond to us. Okay? The reason they're not allowed to respond to us is because we're still under spiritual quarantine. When the spiritual quarantine is lifted, we'll know there's other planets out there. They'll start communicating.
Well, we're in a section that other planets are under quarantine as well.
That's right.
Well, they aren't going to respond. They can't.
That's right. They can't respond either. They can't communicate with each other either, Rodney. They're in the same boat we are. Okay? But through when this opens back up, we'll have the universal broadcast. We'll find out what's going on in the universe. Okay? Me?
And the news today.
Yeah. Constellation broadcasts are periodically sent out from the headquarters of the constellation by the chief of the constellation fathers. Okay, Rodney?
Chronology is reckoned, computed, and rectified by a special group of beings on Salvington. The standard day of Nebadon is equal to 18 days and 6 hours of your ancient time, plus 2.5 minutes. The Nebadon year consists of a segment of the time of universe swing in relation to the universe's circuit, and is equal to 100 days of standard universe time, about 5 years of your ancient time.
So you go through all these and you can figure out what means what. What's interesting about this, if we think of it's 3 days to our local capital of Jerusalem, and they say it takes 3 periods to get there. Is that 3 times 18 in 6 hours, or is that 3 days of our days? They don't really tell us. So it might actually take us 3 times 18 to get to the first mansion world. You follow me?
Yeah, I follow.
We don't know for sure. Right? All right. It's interesting though saying that, because remember Jesus actually did go and come in 3 earth days. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I go by.
Yeah. So that's the.
I think it's a pattern.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one?
I have to turn that speaker on. Nebadon time, broadcast from Salvington, is the standard for all constellations and systems in this local universe. Each constellation conducts its affairs by Nebadon time, but the system maintains their own chronology, as do the individual planets.
So that makes you think at one point it's Nebadon time, but it may not be. It might be our local system time. So it's kind of interesting. The day in Satania is reckoned on you.
The day in Satania is reckoned on Jerusalem is a little less 1 hour, 4 minutes, 15 seconds, and 3 days of Urantia time. These times are generally known as Salvington or Universe time, and Satania or System time. Standard time is Universe time.
Okay, so let's think about this. If the trip to the mansion world is considered Satania, which is our local system time, then we're looking at what? 3 days of Urantia time. So that means it would take 9 days to get to the mansion world.
It would take how long?
9 days.
9 days, yeah.
Yeah. So Just,
Yeah, I see it.
yeah, you see how you can get a little confused about all this. Okay, and this is a slide we've all seen before about how many universes and standard days and all this. I thought I'd stick that in because it talks about the days and standards there at the bottom. Okay, the courts of Nebanon. The master son Michael is supremely concerned with but three things: creation, sustenance, and ministry. He does not personally participate in the judicial work of the universe. Creators never sit in judgment on their creatures. That is the exclusive function of creatures of high training and actual creature experience. So Michael does not judge you, right?
And he said that.
Yeah, and he said that before. The Ancients of Days do that, right? Okay. First, it's done locally, and then the Ancients of Days make the ultimate decision, right? Rodney, would you take the next one?
The entire judicial mechanism of Lebanon is under the supervision of the Gabriel. The high courts, located on Salvington, are occupied with problems of general universe import and with appellate cases.
Appellate cases.
Pardon me?
Appellate cases, Rodney.
Appellate cases
Right.
coming up from the system tribunals. There are 70 branches of these universe courts, and they function in 7 divisions of 10 sections each. In all matters of adjudication, there presides a dual
Magistracy. Yeah.
consisting of one judge of perfection antecedents and one magistrate of ascendant experience.
So there's always one of higher learning or higher knowledge and one of experience on everything, right? That makes it fair. Okay? Millie, would you take the next one?
As regards jurisdiction, am I turned on?
Yeah, you are.
As regards jurisdiction, the local universe courts are limited in the following matters. 1. The administration of the local universe is concerned with creation, evolution, maintenance, and ministry. The universe tribunals are therefore denied the right to pass upon those cases involving the question of eternal life and death. This has no reference to natural death, as it obtains on Urantia, but if the question of the right of continued existence, life eternal, comes up for adjudication, it must be referred to the tribunals of Ormonton, and if decided adversely to the individual, all sentences of extinction are carried out upon the orders and through the agencies of the rulers of the super government.
And that's the Ancients of Days, right? So they decide on local administrative issues, things that come up in any universe, but they do not make decisions on eternal life, right? Okay.
The default or defection of any of the local universe sons of God, which jeopardizes their status and authority as sons, is never adjudicated in the tribunals of a son. Such a misunderstanding would be immediately carried to the super-universe courts.
That's exactly what's happening with Gabriel versus Lucifer. These are local universe sons of God. So it automatically has to go to a court that's outside that son's privy, right? Okay. The question of the readmission of any constituent part of a local universe, such as a local system, to the fellowship of full spiritual status in the local creation, subsequent to spiritual isolation, must be occurred in by the high assembly of the super universe. So that means our quarantine must be lifted by the super universe, not the local universe, right? All right. Go ahead, Rodney. Next one.
And I'll read both of these, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
In all other matters, the courts of Salvington are final and supreme. There is no appeal and no escape from their decisions and decrees.
So once they decide that, there's no going back, right? Okay.
However unfairly, human contentions may sometimes appear to be adjudicated on Urantia, In the universe, justice and divine ec- in the universe, justice and divine equity do prevail. You are living in a well-ordered universe, and sooner or later, you may depend upon being dealt with justly, even mercifully.
Not like we are here on Earth, right?
It's a more
Okay.
kind system.
That's right. Millie, would you take the next one, please, dear?
Okay. The legislative and executive functions. On Salvington, the headquarters of Nebadon, there are no true legislative bodies. The universe headquarters worlds are concerned largely with adjudication. The legislative assemblies of the local universe are located on the headquarters of the 100 constellations. The systems are chiefly concerned with the executive and administrative work of the local creations. The system sovereigns and their associates enforce the legislative mandates of the constellation rulers and execute the judicial decrees of the high courts of the universe.
So this is a perfect government system, right? Unlike ours, by any stretch of the imagination. Okay.
While true legislation is not enacted at the universe headquarters, there do function on Salvington a variety of advisory and research assemblies, variously constituted and conducted in accordance with their scope and purpose. Some are permanent, others disband upon the accomplishment of their objective.
Okay. The Supreme Council of the local universe is made up of 3 members from each system and 7 representatives from each constellation. Systems in isolation do not have representation in this assembly, but they are permitted to send observers who attend and study all its deliberations. So since we're in isolation, we do not have representation there, right? Okay. Rodney.
Okay, the 100 councils of supreme sanction are also situated in Salvington. The presidents of these councils constitute the immediate working cabinet of Gabriel.
Okay, so he has these beings at his disposal, right? Okay, Millie, would you take the next one?
Yeah, I had to turn my speaker off. I had a coughing fit. All findings of the High Universe Advisory Councils are referred either to the Salvington judicial bodies or to the legislative assemblies of the constellations. These high councils are without authority or power to enforce their recommendations. If their advice is founded on the fundamental laws of the universe, then will the Nebadon courts issue rulings of execution. But if their recommendations have to do with local emergency conditions, they must pass down to the legislative assemblies of the constellation for deliberative enactment, and then to the system authorities for execution. These high councils are, in reality, the universe superlegislators, but they function without the authority of enactment and without the power of execution.
Well, we could take lessons in our government from all this. We really can. Okay.
While we speak of universe administration in terms of courts and assemblies, it should be understood that these spiritual transactions are very different from the more primitive and material activities of Urantia, which bear corresponding names. Presented by the chief of the Archangel of Nebadon.
Okay, that finishes that up. Now, at the end of this, I put these charts of the administration from the super universe all the way down to our planet again for your study. So, thought I'd do that for your benefit. And let's say a little prayer, and we just barely made it by 9 o'clock, didn't we? I think I'll pray tonight. Father, thank you for this
During the
opportunity.
first hour,
Pardon me?
we did 2 pages during the first hour and 6 pages during the second hour.
I don't doubt that at all. We got a slow start, that's for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Father, thank you for this opportunity to come and study these wonderful papers that you've given to us. And we pray that you might allow us to take some enlightening part of it away to benefit our lives. And we want to thank you for the opportunity to share this with others and the opportunity to teach others these most important papers. We thank you and we give you the praise for this, and we thank you for our creative Mother Spirit and our Creator Son, that you saw fit to provide those for us for them to lead us the way back to you. We thank you and we give you the praise in your Son Jesus Michael Novenon's name. Amen. Thank you for joining us, folks. Please come see us again.